Respected Shri P.K. Agarwal, Chief Executive Officer, Kalyan Bharti Trust, Professor K.K. Chaudhary, Director, Heritage Business School, Mr. Abhishek Rungta, Founder and Chief Executive Officer and Honorable Speaker of the Day, faculty colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, and my dear students. A very good morning to one and all present here. I, Dr. Bobby Basu, teacher in charge, Heritage Business School, take this privilege to welcome you all to this webinar. We are glad to share with our speaker, Mr. Abhishek Rungta, that under the visionary leadership of our top management, Heritage Business School has achieved many accolades. To name a few, in the recent past, Heritage Business School has been awarded as the best education brand in 2020 by ET Edge, an initiative by Economic Times. Heritage Business School has also been awarded as the most preferred B school in the East in 2020 at the 13th ASSOCHAM Higher Education Forum. Now, at Heritage Business School, apart from academics, we organize industry institute interface sessions where we invite experts from corporate houses and academia to share their vast experience with our students so as to enhance their practical knowledge. Today, we are very happy to have amongst us Mr. Abhishek Rungta, founder and CEO, IndusNet Technologies, and Sir will be speaking on the topic, careers in digital first world. A very warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Abhishek Rungta is an entrepreneur, digital strategy consultant, software architect, marketing tech, angel investor, and a visionary. A technology guide turned entrepreneur in his teens, Abhishek Rungta sir founded INT, that is IndusNet Technologies, in the year 1997. It is fully bootstrapped venture from one person to a family of 750 plus full-time professionals who work from India, the UK, USA, Singapore, and Australia. His expertise across technology and marketing gives him the unique ability to synergize systems with business, ensuring a high success rate of innovation and change management initiatives. A very, very warm welcome to you, sir. I would now request our director, sir, Professor K.K. Chaudhary, to say a few words. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, Mr. Abhishek Rungta.
Good morning.
On behalf of the business school, we welcome you because you have spared your valuable time. You are a very busy person. Valuable time for our students and for us also. Now, in the business schools, in the technology colleges, IITs, and other engineering colleges of repute, students usually come to get a job from the campus. Now, there are a few who come forward in a different choice, and you are among them, and you made us proud as a successful entrepreneur. Now, I was looking into my book collections. I also saw there is a book called Extra. The name is Game Changers. It was published from IIT Kharagpur about the success stories of the 20 extraordinary person. Now, similarly, I could also see in front of me another book by Rashmi Bansal, Stay Hungry, Stay Foolish. Is a 25 IIM Ahmedabad graduates who chose to tread a path of their own making. Now, there are success stories, but unfortunately, we are not getting in plenty because these are the case studies which we refer to our classes. So, we will be happy that some initiative from chamber or some initiative from other areas can be taken to record the success stories of persons like Abhishek Rungta. So a collection of that would be very helpful for the case studies for our students. I'm sure that a request we can make from the chambers or from the other business schools also, so that your interviews in a collection of success stories can be published, and that would be a record for our students. And we are very happy that you have been accepting our invitation whenever we request you. And I'm sure that our students will also get enough kind of motivation from your lecture. I would request you, sir, for take the session. Before that, I would hand it over to Dr. Bobby Basu.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your words, sir. The topic for today's discussion is careers in digital first world. To set the context, let me ask a question. Is there anybody in this session who doesn't have any account in Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, or who has not used Uber or Ola online, or who has not purchased products online? Probably the answer is no. However, 10 years back, or even few years back, the situation was not like this. So the world today is different from world before. The world is evolving around digital technologies, and businesses must adapt to these new changes in order to stay competitive. We are currently in a sea of changes where digital technologies is replacing the old ways of doing business. Technology is not just an industry in today's context, rather it is becoming baseline foundation upon which all industries must operate. To succeed in this digital first world, it is very important to understand the new ways of thinking and the willingness to adapt. The digital first world was already emerging before the pandemic hit. And in fact, this pandemic hit has accelerated its speed. So with this context, I would now request our speaker, Mr. Abhishek Rungta, to start his deliberation. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Basu.
Thank you, sir.
Professor Chaudhary. Thank you, Pradeep ji. Thank you for inviting me for this very interesting session.
Thank you, Abhishek ji, for joining us today. So actually, I am in another board meeting, board meeting of our other college. So I will excuse myself.
Sure,
so,
sure.
The floor is open for you, and we are fortunate that we have you today morning. And I think our students will definitely learn some leadership skill and other things. The way you made the profile, your own profile, in globally, so which will be a big learning for all of us.
Sure, thank you so much for the honors. Thank you. So yeah, so I think this topic is very close to my heart, because I see that learning and talent development is going to be a serious challenge for the future of our society, and that's why I love to speak on this topic, because I think if I can inspire even 1% person in the room, I think I would have done a great job, and there would be some at least initiation of change in the world. So guys, what I want to say here is that when we see around us right now today, everybody is talking about job loss, everybody is talking about economy. The challenge is that there is very glum and gloomy picture which has been painted in front of us, right? And this picture will become more and more gloomy the more you read social media. The reason behind this is because social media actually engineers our mind, right? It has nothing to do with reality. But I'm not saying that you are in a great world where there is no risk for you. There are lots of risks for you, and I like to touch upon few risks and few opportunities. And you can pick up, how you want to mitigate the risk and how do you want to build on the opportunities that is available in today's world, which is more of a digital first world. And you are fortunate that you have got full access to digital. You are fortunate you are working, studying in a great organization, institution. So I think make the most of it. But you have to be a little cautious how you use this next 3-4 years of your life, in building yourself. When I went to college, frankly speaking, I did not spend much time learning, and I still regret that. I think you should not do the same mistake, and you should spend a lot more time in learning and focusing on reading a lot, because later on you will get time to read, but not as much as you get right now. And you can, form opinions, you can form ideas, thoughts, which can be very, very powerful. So again, economy and job market are two very different things, right? And when you will read about economy, right, go and read some interesting books and you will find out that we are in a world, for last 25 years, we are in a world which we call jobless growth, right? This means whenever the economy tanks, right, the job market will go down. This means people will lose jobs. But when the economy gets better, it does not again recreate the jobs. So the jobs which are lost are actually lost forever. And this is a very scary situation. And this scary situation is not something that you can address as an individual, or not even what you can address as a group, right? This has got lots of reasons behind it. And two major reasons behind it is that, number one, we don't upskill ourselves as much as we should, right? As the society, the pace of change is so fast that the amount of upskilling that is required to stay relevant in this game is very high. And I think it pushes human beings beyond their comfort zone, right? Even people who are working in very high-tech areas, right, they complain that they are not able to keep up with the change in the world. And they also feel depressed at times. So this is not just about you, but what I'm saying is that it's a generic phenomena that the change in this world has become so fast that it is almost impossible to keep pace with this whole world across the board, right? You may be specialized in one area, or maybe semi-specialized in a couple of more areas, and that's it, right? However, we find that that level of specialization and semi-specialization is also not taken very seriously during our education time. You are among the fortunate ones who are studying in a nice city, in a nice institution, so you might still be able to make it. But there are hundreds and thousands of people who will never be able to make it because they are not getting the quality of education that everyone deserves. And this is going to happen because there is a lot of automation going on. This means the nature of job is changing. It's not that the jobs are gone from the market, right? This is a very wrong perception. The nature of job is changing. So if you are expecting that there will be jobs for people who will guard homes, that's gone, right? Do you know, at one point of time, there was a job which was knocking at people's home when they want to wake up and, to kind of work as an alarm for them, right? When the alarm clock came, all those thousands and thousands of jobs were gone, right? So it's not that the technology is bad for mankind. It's not that digital is bad for mankind. It's just that digital creates so much of convenience and automation in certain areas that certain jobs will go and certain jobs will come. Now you have to understand what jobs will go and what jobs will come, and you have to position yourself in the right area. Right? Again, I'm not going to give you a list of areas that you should work on. I think if you can Google it, you will find lots of areas which will actually grow in the years to come. So I will give you a broad idea that you should look at areas where you need a human empathy, right? What we call emotional quotient. How can you make things work between people? How can you manage people? That is the most important thing that's going to work. Second is, can you be a deep technology guy? But whatever you do, you have to be very good at it. Because now, since less people will be hired in the world going forward, only the good ones will be not only praised, but they will be people will seek them and they will pay them, and there will be more pay disparity going forward. This means people who will know 2 times better than the other person will actually get 5 to 8 times more pay than the other person, right? So it will not be like, it's not a linear scale, it's a logarithmic scale, if you understand what I'm saying. So make sure that you focus a lot in building yourself. Now, there is another, there's another important topic I want to touch upon, which is very, very Hello. Can we just be on mute?
Yes, sir. Sorry for the inconvenience. Somebody has unmuted herself. No. Okay, sir. Please continue, sir. Please continue. Sir.
Another important point I want to touch upon, which is again a challenge that we should know about, is the age when we start getting into an industry and the age when we get out of the industry. So the age in which we get into the industry nowadays is much earlier, right? So when you pass the college, you get in the industry and you start working in it, right? However, the age when you get out of the industry will eventually come down, right? It will come down because of many reasons. Reason number one is stress, right? People will take a lot more stress than they used to take, because a lot of times people are choosing profession which they don't like. So make sure that you never choose a profession going forward that you don't like, right? Just for the sake of it, because Going forward, life will be far more stressful, and stress in a field where you don't like that job altogether can be deadly, right? Second is that people do not put sufficient amount of effort in learning. Like, I would say your learning career has not yet started. Your learning career will start once you get into the job, and you have to ensure that you have earmarked sufficient time for your learning and upgradation throughout the period, whatever may happen, right? So you have to continue to upgrade yourself. I do not know if it's true or false, but I have read somewhere that Shah Rukh Khan, goes to gym at times at 2 o'clock in the morning or at midnight after he comes back from his shooting. Right? The whole idea here is, see, he is an actor. His asset is his looks. His asset is his physique, right? And if he doesn't work on it by just citing an example that, I am overworked, I have got lots of work pressure, then he's going to lose the whole game. He's going to lose the whole plot, right? So it doesn't matter how late he is, doesn't matter how tired he is, how overworked he is. He's still putting those 2 hours in working on his physique, working on his looks, working on his body, right? Similarly, as entrepreneurs or as executives tomorrow, you have to spend that 2-3 hours every day, irrespective of how tired, how stressed, how overworked you are, in your learning and upgradation. And that has to be a regular thing, right? It's not about reading, again, with all due respect, it's not about reading just another Chetan Bhagat book and feeling that you have read something great, right? Those are nice books. They have few very interesting life lessons, but that is not end of it, right? That is just the beginning. And this is, I would say, easy literature, right? You need to learn about first principles in this world, right? There are lots of first principles available if you read books. Even, and I'm not saying that you should go and straight away read Socrates, right? But there are people like Adam Smith. There are people like Naval Ravikant. There are lots of amazing people who have put a lot of knowledge and wisdom out in this world, right? If you just go and absorb that, if you just think about it, and if you try to write about it, I think your learning will be much, much faster and better throughout your life. I'm not just saying just for the college, but this learning pattern has to start now and it has to continue throughout your life if you really want to have a longer career. So think about it, right? You have started your life. Now, by 40 to 45, generally most of the guys start peaking in this industry, right? By 40 to 45, you will be actually absolutely peaked if you do not take very good care of yourself. Very exceptional people will continue to grow in their career till the very end, right? It's not like those old times when, someone would actually peak towards its retirement. It's not going to happen anymore. People will peak by 35, 40, maybe 42, and then they will start declining. So by the time you reach 42 in your life, your decline starts from there. And the problem that you have to understand from here on is that our life expectancy is growing. So our life expectancy, which was at one point of time, it was 58, 60 in India, is right now, touching 70, and it will be almost 75, 80 by the time you reach that kind of an age. This means that you have to live a long, long life, and your non-professional, non-working life in the given condition might be longer than your working life, right? So you have to understand and think and plan, how can you extend your working life? If not the current career that you take, if not the current job that you take, if not the current business that you take, if that cannot be extended for 40, 45 years or more than that, you have to still find interesting things to do, a way you can create value. So when I think about this particular point, right, the idea that comes to my mind is that you need to create an enterprise of one, right? So what do I mean by an enterprise of one? An enterprise of one means that one single individual can be an enterprise in himself. He can generate revenue, he can take care of his cost, and he can himself be a small business, right? And this is becoming more and more true, as the time progresses, because we are talking about gig economy, right? There are a lot of people who have to be independent, right? I know there are a lot of memes which are floating around about the term that our Prime Minister has put, which is Atmanirbhar Bharat. But the fact and the real realization is that, right, people have to become self-reliant, and that's a fact, right? It's just that he said it on the face of it, and people may go against it, but at the end of the day, that's the reality, right? We have to be self-reliant. We have to figure out how can we get jobs, because government cannot create jobs. Let's be frank, right? Enterprises, their objective is not to create jobs. Their objective is to make profits, right? So if something can be automated, they will automate it, and you will make, and less people will get jobs. So how to get a living, how to earn a living is your responsibility. It's not even your parents' responsibility, because even if they like you, they cannot really solve this problem for you for long term, because they don't know how to navigate the world that is coming in, right? So I think you need to start worrying about, I would not say worry, I think you should start thinking about how do you prepare yourself for the days to come, right? Again, it is not only about academic, it's about a lot more. And I'm going to touch few points on that so that, you can at least prepare. So till now I have touched upon two important areas which might have scared you a little bit, but my objective is not to scare you. My objective is to show you the mirror of future so that you are aware that what's going to come, and so that you can start working on things that you should work upon to protect yourself from the situation that's going to be there in some time, right? So number one thing that you can do about fixing your future career is that, take ownership of yourself, right? Don't look up to your parents, don't look up to your teacher, don't look up to the world to help you, don't look up to the government to help you, don't look up to the enterprises to help you, right? If you have capability, if you have ability, if you have knowledge, and if you can show and exhibit your the outcome of your knowledge, right? People will be after you, people will go after you, people will like you, and you can become an enterprise of one. And that's very important, that you yourself know how to market yourself, how to carry yourself, how to deliver the goods that you are supposed to deliver, how to have your own value system so that you can be valued in the market, right? So you should have your own set of ethics and ethos, right, for which people will value you tomorrow. Otherwise, people will work with someone else because capability will not be that big a challenge. There will be a lot of people, capable people, who don't have jobs. So you have to create your character and position in the market in such a way that people would love to get you on board, and people only love to get those people on board who can create a real value for their businesses, right, by creating new things. So you have to ultimately become a creator, right? At the end of the day, people value creators who can come and create companies, create products, create markets. So you have to start getting into the habit of learning how to become a creator from the very beginning. You cannot say, okay, we will learn how to do this later on. No, that's not possible. You have to start doing it right now. Right? Second is, get yourself in a driving seat, as I said, so take your ownership, get yourself in the driving seat. You are responsible for your career. That's number one. Number two is that make sure that you get it very clear in your mind that there is, that there is no entitlements in this world, right? Since you have studied in heritage, you will get a great job. There is no entitlement. Since you have born out of a good family, you will always be respected everywhere. No, there is no entitlement, right? You have learned something, so people will give you more. You know a subject, so people will pay you more. No, that's not entitlement. There is only one thing that matters in this world: outcome. Okay. So as long as you deliver the outcome, and only till the time that you deliver the outcome, people will value you. Okay. The day you can be the best person in the world, the day you stop delivering value, people don't care about you. Let's be realistic, and that's the fact of the world. So you have to understand that there is no entitlements, and you have to be mentally prepared for that, right? And there is no ultimate loss or ultimate success. This means that you may lose a lot of small battles, but you may still win the war, right? You may also win a lot of small battles and ultimately lose the war. So you have to be mentally prepared for that and be mentally strong about it, right? If you lose a battle, it's not the end of the world. Even if you lose the war, it's not the end of the world, right? But you have to learn that how you continue to play to win. That is what matters. And are you fixing the errors or mistakes that you have made in past so that this time you can at least win, whatever attempt you are taking, right? Third thing is that I find that a lot of times we don't have ability to do self-evaluation. We always over-evaluate ourselves, right? We say, oh, I can do this and I'm the best at it. No, you are not, right? It's a big challenge that when you learn a little, and that has happened with me also. When you learn a little bit, right, you start thinking that you know a lot. When you learn a lot, then you realize that you know so little. And when you really learn a lot more, then you realize, oh God, why I was such a big fool that I used to think I know a lot. Right? So I think this is a understanding that will come over a period of time. But I'm just saying that you should understand it much earlier. So I'm just trying to fast track your thinking process so that you don't have to face any hindrance when you start building your career. So keep self-evaluating yourself. Don't be too critical of yourself. At least try to find out what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses. Play on your strengths, and if you have time, fix your weakness and try to see that how you can overall create habits that can make you stronger and stronger in days to come. Fourth point that I want to make is that you must read a lot, right? Don't read cheap novels. Don't read a lot of fiction, right? There's a lot of amazing non-fiction books out there in this world. Go and consume that. And not only consume that, you are in a great position because you have got colleagues, friends around you, right? So create a book club, right? Go and talk to 5 people and say, okay, all 5 of us will read this book. Let's say there is a book called, I love this book called Simon Sinek's book called Start With Why. So if I read this book, can you go and meet your friends and discuss and debate about that book, right? Start creating your perspective. So don't read a book just to read and learn. Read a book to get an ability to think, because that ability to think is what will make you special and will make you sustain in this world tomorrow. Just the knowledge will not work, because the knowledge is all available. If I Google, I will get the knowledge, but I may not get the ability to think. I may not get the ability to do problem solving, right? So people will come to you for the ability to solve the problem. People will come to you to be able to for your ability to mediate in a conflict. People will come to you so that they know that this guy can not only solve a problem, but he can also think and give some original ideas, right? So how do you get these original ideas? Until and unless you read a lot, until and unless you digest that and debate on that and start thinking on those points. It's not necessary that if Simon Sinek has written something, it's the ultimate truth. No, everybody is a human being and they are all in a learning process, right? And you may have a amazing moment where you might have a voice that comes out from you and which is much, much stronger, right? So I'm not saying that you start becoming, the preacher the next day, but what I'm saying is that start thinking. Reading and thinking is the most important skill that you will need. Please don't waste your time. Just a counterpart of it, that please don't waste your time on social media. Social media has been created to engineer your brain, right? It will feed you false information all the time. It will feed you what is in interest of politicians and other stakeholders in the society all the time, right? So instead of spending that time in social media and creating your knowledge base based on that, right, try reading books where you can learn by first principle. If you don't know what is learning by first principle, go and Google it and you will learn about it, because learning by first principle is all about breaking things down at the minutest level and question each and everything, that how does this work, right? This gives you a lot of power, because then you know the functionality of each and every element of a theory, right? And each element then can be fitted into other elements from other theories, and you can actually create new thought processes, new ideas, and new breakthroughs, which is what will actually make you special. Otherwise, people don't care about who you are. Now, if you want to talk about the benefits of social media, right? Today, I think the whole world is connected, right? This means you can learn from anyone. And this is the biggest advantage I see in the world we live today. You can connect with anyone in this world, absolutely anyone, right? And when you can connect with anyone, you can learn from that person. But you have to connect with that person with curiosity, right? And by showing him that you have already done some groundwork and you have very specific question that this guy can answer it. And he is an expert in that. There are a lot of conversations going on by intelligent people on internet, right? And this person can be managing director of a company or a great tech geek or maybe a great designer, right? So go and connect with these people and try to debate, learn, and get involved in discussions. But just be respectful, just be open-minded. I use a term for myself which is very interesting, which is I say that I have strong beliefs which are loosely held. This means that I create strong mindset, but I can change. So I'm not saying that I am dilly-dally on day one, but yes, I can change my mindset if required, if there are sufficient proof and if there is sufficient reading, which is from the real old experts, not the new experts who have come up suddenly because they want to market themselves, right? Today, there are a lot of experts who are out there because there is a lot of marketing going around, and by being an expert, you can market yourself very well. Right? I come from a marketing background and I know that this is what we call authority marketing. This is what we call content marketing, right? So don't get into that trap. Read books which really matter. Read books which are like, what was the investment theory of Warren Buffett, right? And this is for almost like decades, this has become the de facto way of doing quality investment, right? Go and read that book. If you just keep yourself confined to the finance book that is being taught in your college, and if you just keep thinking, okay, mere ko CFA karna hai, or I have to do an MBA and I have to do this and that, it's not going to help you, right? Do you really think, Warren Buffett did a CFA? He did not, right? So, you can learn a lot from reading how he did things, how he decided things, and what are his theories, what are his practices, and then debate about it with amazing people around the world. right? And talk about it. So college is the community where you come and learn, and you get time to learn, and you get people to query and question, right? So this is the power of college. So don't consider that college is a place where you will learn everything and you will be prepared and you are entitled for a great job and a great career, and now you are out in the market. That thinking process, which I see day in and day out, which makes me feel so miserable about the whole new set of people who are coming into the job market, because I know and I can foresee that they will struggle in days to come, and I don't want you to struggle, and that's why I am highlighting these points for you. Moving forward, right? But again, if you have to really interact in social media, look at LinkedIn and look at getting into discussions with good people, right? They are posting a lot of amazing things, and whenever you read something, always think about it. Don't take anything on face value, right? In today's world, 22 years back when I came into professional life, we were struggling with the challenge that there was less information, right? And we were talking about how can we make information reach everyone. Today, the challenge is that we are in a world of over-information, and we are also in a world of fake information. So today you have to be far more careful of what you pick, what you choose, what you consume, and what you believe and trust. So you have this additional problem. So I think problems will always be constant, right? My problems were different. Today your problems are different. And I hope you are able to handle your problems in a better way. Right? Always do side hustles while you are in college, right? Start a small company, do something, create something, be part of a company. If someone is starting off something, go and help him. If your dad is running a business, try to apply new ideas in that and try to improve those ideas by the learnings that you are gathering, not only from your college, but also from reading online, also from reading new books, right? I mean, my philosophy is that you must read at least one new book every week. If you are not reading one new book every week, you are giving away too much of knowledge that will be useful for you in years to come, right? And it's not very difficult, right? Once you start reading, it becomes very, very normal. Right? So create the side projects, do side hustles, right? Be part of projects, be part of organizations, because there's a lot of learning which is out there in practical, right? By reading books, you cannot learn everything. Reading books is just giving you theoretical knowledge, but that theoretical knowledge has to be applied. So if you go out and while you are in college, you should start applying right now. Don't wait for the college to get over and then you apply. That's wrong. I would also like to talk a little bit about entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship, unfortunately, is an over-glamorized profession today, right? Everybody cannot be an entrepreneur, and let me be very frank about it. And everybody should not even try to be an entrepreneur, right? Yes, you should definitely become what I say, the enterprise of one. This means you yourself in individual capacity is a complete package, right? That is very important. But it is not necessary that you are able to take financial risk of being an entrepreneur. It is not necessary that you have the uncanny ability to spot problems and solutions for them in such a way that you will win. So these are very specific capabilities that an entrepreneur has, right? And last but not the least, entrepreneurs are extremely resilient people, right? You hit them, you kick them, you try to kill them, they will survive, right? And it needs a lot of mental strength. I'm not saying that you cannot be. I think everybody can be, but do you really want to be? Do you really want to pursue that and be successful in that? Right? So the idea is that don't over glamorize. I think this media today has over glamorized entrepreneurship. They say it's very easy. You just read some books, you go to some college, you do some course, you attend some sessions, and then you make a business plan, and you will become an entrepreneur. And that's far from truth. Okay, that's not even scratching the surface of entrepreneurship. So I would suggest, do explore it, do try to do things, do very simple things, try to start a very, very small business by yourself. There is a lot of resource online, there's a lot of knowledge online, try it and then see what happens, right? If you really enjoy it, if you enjoy the hustle, right, do it, right? And entrepreneurship is easy, you don't need funding, right? So I started my company with 50 rupees and I kept multiplying it till even today, right? And today IndusNet is valued at more than 200 CR. So the point is not, that I need some funding. Even if you have to do entrepreneurship, don't do it with funding on day one, right? Start bootstrap, run bootstrap, get your value proposition sorted out, get your company profitable, and then we will talk about how to raise money. And I will be the first person to help you doing that. Now I'll come to the last part of my talk. So digital careers, when we talk about digital careers, a lot of you might be thinking that, I wanted to hear about what are the careers in digital, right? So digital careers are very cross-functional careers. So if you are just a programmer, or if you are just a project manager, or if you are just one thing, right, it's a very difficult career, right? And it will not last long. It is a cross-functional career. You must know multiple things. You must either know, you must know an industry, you must know a skill, and you must know a technology. At least these are the three things you must know, and the value lies in the in the confluence of these three things. So until and unless you are cross-functional and you can learn various things and learn how to make them work together, it's very difficult to be successful in digital. Again, I'm not talking about mediocrity, right? There are a lot of people who will be able to perform at a mediocre level, and that's absolutely fine, right? I'm not against them. They also earn a good living. They also live a good life. But if you really want to play the big game in terms of being a solid digital professional, you have to have cross-functional skills. You have to have so cross-functional skills. The best way to do is what I call a T-learning curve. So T-learning curve has got a line on the top. This depicts the width of knowledge, and then there is a straight line, right, which depicts the depth of the knowledge. So you should be very deep in one or two, or at least at most 3 subjects, and you should be very wide in your knowledge. You should know about how a bank works, how an insurance company works, okay, how a retail chain works, how supply chain works. You must know basics of everything. But again, be curious and try to know the reality, right? Not just what you are reading in the book, okay? And then you go extremely deep in one subject, where by the time you pass out from your college, right, you should be actually better than any person in the city. Right? It's not a big deal. And it's a very, very common knowledge that if someone spends 2 years studying one subject deeply, he can be, right, one of the top 10% people in the world knowing that subject. It's very easy. But you have to devote yourself for 2 years in learning one subject so deep that you just want to be the champion of that subject. Right? Yes, but so again, the T-shaped learning curve, and as I said, have a first principle learning model, right? Read good books, read old books, which has lots of knowledge, right? When you want to read strategy, right? It's amazing books like by the Arthashastra, the Sun Tzu, right? And after that, also there are lots of strategy professors who have written outstanding books, right? So read those books. Again, as I said, don't just limit yourself to what is being taught in the class, because that is what is being taught to everybody, right? And everybody, if you learn what everybody learns, you will actually perform even lower than a mediocre person. Right, so you have to be curious and you have to learn how to adapt, because the world will keep changing every 3 to 4 years, and you cannot complain. So I think the biggest skill that you will need is that you have to be very comfortable with change. When things change around you, you should be happy about it, and you should say, okay, ab dekhte ab kya seekhna hai, dekhiye ab kya karna hai, ab kaise aage badhna hai. So until unless you can bring that feeling inside yourself that ki, oh, ye change hai to isme koi problem nahi hai. Until unless you can bring that feeling inside yourself, it will become a very difficult ride going forward. Doesn't matter what profession you are in. You can be an engineer, you can be a management guy, you can be anything, right? And being a management guy is actually more difficult, because being a management guy, you have to actually you have to get into a leadership position somewhere, right? And for getting into leadership position, you need to have respect of your peers and your downline. To have respect of your peers and your downline, you need to be very good in the subject that they are good in. And a lot of times the challenge is that you don't know that subject at all, right? Because you are a management guy and the other guys may be, civil engineers or maybe mechanical engineers. So humbleness will be very, very crucial and your ability to learn will be very crucial in years to come, because you will have to definitely adapt and learn. An amazing engineer who knows in and out of operating system may still survive without having any social skills, without having any adaptability. He may still survive and have a decent career, but you cannot. Okay. So my best wishes to all of you, and more than happy to take few questions if we have few minutes left in the session today. But this is all what I wanted to share with you guys, and my heartiest congratulations for being part of this course, and I wish you all the best going forward.
Thank you very much, sir, for your deliberations. As you have rightly pointed out, that in order to succeed in this competitive world, one must take ownership of himself. And learning by first principle is very, very important, because until and unless we learn, we read the books and we discuss it, there will be no true learning. So with this, I can see few questions in the chat box. So first question is by Ayush Gupta. So may I request Ayush? He's a student of second year. So put forward your question. Yeah, please.
Good morning, sir. It's almost afternoon, so yeah. Yeah. So my question is, as a CEO of a digital company, how do you emphasize on phygital concept in your company as well, sir?
Okay. So Ayush, again, our company has a very simple motto, right? We are a no bullshit company. This means we don't get, swayed by buzzwords and hype cycles. Okay.
Right.
So Phygital, again, nobody forces anything on anybody. Again, our logic is very simple. If a business needs any model, we will deliver that model. Okay. So if a company really needs a Phygital model, we will figure out how it can be implemented. So I'll give you a very simple example. Okay. So we were doing a very interesting customer marketing campaign for a company, which is into daily food, right? Like they make besan and atta and all those things, right? Packaged.
Yeah.
And they wanted to go into the rural market. So what we did was we did a very interesting campaign. We said, okay, चलो काम करते हैं. गांव में अगर इसका product को लेकर जाना है, and people are very comfortable buying things from the local baniya, which is they basically take out from the bora and directly pack it. Okay. So we said, if we want to really make people understand the difference, right, we have to engage with them. And that engagement needs to be a little physical engagement. We cannot just do a digital engagement, right? Because people in village will be very, very uncomfortable by trusting a brand purely on a digital platform.
Right, sir.
Because of, obviously, they're little, their thinking may not be as advanced in terms of consumerism as in our cities, right? So we advertised a cooking class, right, in almost 50 villages at the same time. Okay, and the cooking class was more about how to cook new breakfast which generally people don't cook in villages, right? So, for example, dhokla and and idli, these are not generally cooked at home in villages, most of the villages, right? So we basically ran an advertisement that we will teach you how to cook these things and we'll give you the ingredients to cook it. And when you run such campaign where you have nothing to lose, right, and you are bringing a physical connect, people like to come out of their house and they like to come and attend that cooking class. In this 50 villages, we brought in more than 5,000 housewives in total, and they were taught how to cook idli and dhokla, and they were given a packet of these products. So here we are using digital to reach them. We are using digital to organize an event. We are bringing them into the cooking class. There we are giving them a sampling of the product, and then we are also setting them up that this is where you can buy it in future. Right? So again, everything is definitely not only digital, and everything will not be only physical going forward. So phygital should not be forced, but it will automatically occupy its position. So don't try to force fit anything, right? And definitely not by buzzwords.
Right, sir. So one more question. So one more question.
Sure.
So who's your best any author of your best authors in any of the genres, sir, that you would suggest us?
There are lots of them. Again, I think Jim Collins is one of the most amazing authors that you can read. Then after Jim Collins, there's I'm more into reading old books, but Jim Collins and Tom Peters are two of the writers who connect very well with my thinking process. So I read a lot of them and reread them again and again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Any other question?
There is no question in the chat box, but I have got a question for you. Like,
Sure.
Do you think automation is going to take control over the entire industry? What is your say on this?
So automation will definitely take control of lots of industries and lots of jobs which are currently, I would say, non-value creation jobs will go away. They will all be taken away by automation, and that's why people have to adapt those skills which will not be taken away by automation. So jobs are there, So for example, as a company, we struggle to hire and get good people on board. This means I'm saying that jobs are there, definitely are there, and it's growing. But the challenge is that there is a big misfit between jobs and the education and the upskilling of people around the world. Not just in India, it's around the world. India has stark differences. Somewhere in US and UK, they are rich countries. So the good thing about them is that when situation will go bad, they will bring in universal basic income and they can save their economy and they can save their citizens. India, I feel India fundamentally is not fit for bringing in universal basic income. And therefore, in India, we will have a massive problem. You know, it can lead to bloodbath, it can lead to revolution, it can lead to social unrest when that situation comes, when a lot of people, and the good and the bad thing is, you know, education also costs money, right? So if you all are coming from decent family, well-earning family, so you are able to get education and you will be able to save yourself. But a lot of people who are not able to save themselves because they don't even know that this is a problem that exists, right? So there will be a big divide, and the divide is going to get broader and broader. And that is where the big challenge of social unrest is absolutely visible, right? I mean, I can see it from here, right? Obviously, it can be handled and changed, and it cannot be changed by government. That is for sure. It has to be changed by people like us. Maybe some entrepreneur will come and solve this problem to some extent. Another one will come and extend it to the next level, and this will be solved somewhere. So I hope that some guys from this group also contribute to this problem and get some solution.
Okay. So all the standard jobs will be replaced by the robots and all, but unconventional jobs will be there in the market.
No, see,
so
again, unconventional is the word that we use, right? All this becomes conventional jobs, right? So if you think about programmer, right? So 20 years back or 25 years back, programmer was an unconventional job.
Yeah.
So today you have got almost 50 lakh programmers in India, right? Can you call it unconventional job anymore? You can't, right? So the speed of adaptation, the speed of how quickly you can adapt to change is what will define your success.
Very important.
So 23 years back, when I saw internet for the first time in my life, I decided that this will be the career for me, right? And when I decided that this will be the career for me, it was a non-conventional career at that time, right?
Exactly.
So you cannot think in this thinking process that this is conventional, this is not conventional. Okay, every business, every career is conventional. Actually, if you see.
Yeah. Exactly. So the jobs we see around us, they were not existing 10 years before.
And the jobs that you see around you will not exist. A lot of them will not exist.
Exactly. So we would request our faculty, Dr. Rimu Chaudhary, to offer the vote of thanks. Dr. Rimu Chaudhary, please.
Thank you, Professor Basu. Almost afternoon. So a very good afternoon to our most valued speaker, Mr. Abhishek Rungta, and our Director, Heritage Business School, Professor K.K. Chaudhary, my faculty colleagues, all my beloved students, all the participants, organizing committee, and the management committee. A very, very good afternoon. I, Dr. Rimu Chaudhary, on behalf of Heritage Business School and its entire fraternity, and on my own behalf, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to Mr. Abhishek Rungta, who instead of his busy schedule, joined us today to grace the occasion and share with his vast knowledge and experience today. Thank you